To whom it may concern, Eric, over the past few weeks, I have been asked countless times to comment on reports of an alleged sexual relationship I had with Donald Trump many, many, many years ago. The fact of the matter is that each party to this alleged affair, denied its existence in 2006, 2011, 2016, 2017, and now in 2018. I am not denying this affair because I was paid hush money, quote unquote, as has been reported in overseas owned tabloids. I am denying this affair because it never happened. I will have no further comment on this matter. Please feel free to check me out on Instagram at the Stormy Daniels. Thank you, Stormy Daniels.
By the way, that's my favorite part. Never mind everything else. Feel free to check me out on Instagram.
Why not? Why not? You can check her out. Why not plug it? I mean, but I think the substance, you couldn't be more blunt or declarative than this official statement from Stormy Daniels. I mean, what else do you want other than this statement from 2018? Apparently, this was not good enough for Alvin Bragg, right, Eric?
No, or the judge.
I mean, even Michael Avenatti, a former Democratic presidential hopeful, now in a federal correction facility, has come out and said this is outrageous. They're going after Trump for this. Her attorney, who tried to embezzle money from her, now in a federal prison, has come out with, I guess you could tweet in the federal prison system. He put out a tweet on Twitter on X, denouncing the attacks on Trump for the hush money thing that didn't exist. And he said, I should know because I try to shake her down for money. So if anybody knows about it, it's me, Michael Avenatti, 107-436-8243, cell block 7.
Yeah. But obviously that's not going away.
Well, I mean, if you follow where this is going, which I've been trying to explain to people, they get so hung up on jury selection. I think a lot of conservatives just look at the law as it's a religion, and the Democrats look at government as if it's their religion. There's two different religions here. One is law and order for the conservatives. The other is government itself for the Democrats. Both of them have their traps and problems, but the law and order one, the fact, I was trying to explain on Twitter this week that, when William Kunstler, the attorney, and the different attorneys that were involved in the Chicago 7 case saw that it was a travesty of a sham of a travesty of a sham, they decided to blow it up instead of cooperating with the government. They were all cited with 1 million contempt charges. None of them ever stuck. They were overturned on appeal. Judge Julius Hoffman was the same as Juan Marchand, who is now the judge in the Trump case. He had all kinds of baggage back then. And Jerry Rubin and Abby Hoffman famously blew up the court. I don't mean blew it up physically, but they blew it up intellectually and making a mockery of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty by not cooperating with a rigged trial, which is what it was. They had witnesses for the prosecution who were lying, who were undercover and things of that nature. The fact of the matter is that this current case is a sham of a travesty of a sham, but people still cooperate with it in terms of, and I was talking to you about this week, going into the weeds about, how Trump couldn't have done this and the jury selection and this and that. None of that matters. I'm here to tell you, none of that matters. He will be convicted. There are 34 felony counts. He'll be convicted on 17 or 19 or 6 or 31. It doesn't matter. I saw a guy yesterday on Newsmax saying, hopefully one juror will stand up and it'll be a hung jury. And he was saying that was the only case scenario of Trump avoiding being remanded by the bailiffs. I want people to visualize what's going to happen, because at the end of this case in 6 weeks or 8 weeks, as long as they can keep Trump off the stump, which is part of the plan, the jury is going to go out, no matter what you think of the evidence, no matter what you think of the trial, which you're not going to be able to see anyway. And I understand Joe was not allowed in there. He's now suing to get access, Joe Neerman. Whatever you think of this,
to get the gag order lifted.
right? But I was watching him. He's also trying to get access with a press pass that he has, and they're not giving him access. And there's another separate lawsuit about the fact that they're not streaming the trial in another room, Eric, which is a tradition also with an overflow court. There's a tradition of streaming it in another room with a monitor at the same time. Okay, separate issue. The end of this trial, that jury is going to go out and come back and convict Trump. The bailiff will then be ordered by Marchand, as in the other case that we saw down in Santa Fe, to remand the defendant into custody. He will then be handcuffed and he will be marched out that door on the side of the courthouse. I want people to understand this because that's where this is going. He will then be taken to Rikers Island. What happens after that? I have no idea. But that's how this ends. This will end with him in handcuffs marching out that door. There's no other end to this thing. It could be some Hail Mary that Barnes and Viva were talking about this week about the Supreme Court. Highly doubt that they're going to interrupt a case in the middle of it. This is a runaway train. So my suggestion is he goes out on the stump and does not come back. Get off sitting in this case. This is not, don't cooperate with this phony court. Get out. Do your thing, leave the state of New York, campaign in the battleground states, go to Mar-a-Lago, your home, and do not go to New York. Do not come back until this is resolved when you're the president of the United States. It's a state case. Nobody's going to arrest you when you're campaigning in Michigan. They don't have that legal right to do that. There's no state marshals like federal marshals. I would recommend that he get out of that courtroom and not come back. I don't know if he's going to do it, but that's my recommendation, because at the end of the day, this is going to be a case where he is going to be handcuffed and marched through that door to Rikers Island. And you're going to say, I said this back then, and I hope that it gets to him. Do not cooperate with his court. They'll violate him on the gag order. They won't even allow him to go to the United States Supreme Court, Eric, for his own case. For his own case, he can't even go. I mean, if he got a note from his doctor that he was sick, I think they would arrest him, which has been threatened by Marchand already. If he goes to Barron's high school graduation or the United States Supreme Court, he'll be arrested. Okay, you can't cooperate with this. It legitimizes the system that they have set up. It legitimizes this Nuremberg court system that has been set up here by the Third Reich. Do not sit there for 8 weeks and then be arrested anyway. My advice is get off your fat ass and get out of there and campaign in all the other states. You're never going to win New York anyway, Eric. You know what I mean? Just give it up. Give it up.
Yeah, and the problem too is he can't get an actual fair trial there. We were talking about it earlier today with the lawyers. Like, literally, one of the jurors who had to be excused said, "Yeah, I found out that people learned my name, and I can't be here because they know that Antifa and other people are going to attack him." So, what juror is going to be able to stand up and say, "Hey, not guilty," or whatever, because they know that their life is hell? How are they going to hide it? They've got to say, to their boss at work, I've got to be off work for the next 6 weeks because I have a trial. I can't tell you which one.
Not only that, you're talking about the one mystical juror who hangs the jury. They're going to out that person in 5 seconds. How is that person? If it's true, what they're suggesting is the only way he could win is to have one hung juror. Okay, what happens to the life of that juror who lives in Manhattan, who's going to be outed by the other 11 immediately, right? You're telling me the threats internally by the other 11 jurors, when it's into the 12th hour of this woman or whoever it is saying, I'm not going to do it, there's just no way they're going to roll over just to get out of there and not have their life threatened.
Or their families threatened. I mean, you know damn well that the intimidation, and Tim Pool actually put it really well. He said that they'll do a, quote, low-level terrorism, just low enough to where it doesn't hit the headlines, but their life will be absolute living hell.
The point of the matter is these 12 jurors are going to convict him on fill-in-the-blank amount of counts. There's 34 felony counts. They'll convict him of 17 or 29 or 9. It doesn't really matter. The point of the matter is he's going to be remanded to custody. That's what's going to happen. This Marchand's job is to remand him to custody. I know this is hard for people to see in their minds. But believe me, this is where it's going. And if he sits there for 8 weeks and then has it done to him, he's a schmuck. He's got to get out there and say, this court is illegal. I am not going to participate in my own lynching, and go out and campaign on the stump, talking about this case on the stump. Do it in Michigan, do it in Pennsylvania, do it in Wisconsin, do it in Arizona, and he'll have huge crowds. But to sit there for 8 weeks is ridiculous. And to be convicted after that and remanded to Rikers Island, it's just not the way this should be played out by him, in my humble opinion.
And he's also not campaigning. If he's
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They can't arrest him. I mean, if he goes to Mar-a-Lago, who's going to arrest him? If he goes to Detroit, if he goes to Arizona to campaign, he's surrounded by Secret Service. He's got his own bodyguards. There's no federal marshals. It's a state beef on some money.
DeSantis isn't going to hand him over.
No. There's nobody to hand him. Look what happened with Ronald Reagan when we talked about the Eugene Braden case, when Jim Garrison was putting out subpoenas for people to be questioned by him in the JFK case. Nobody cooperated with him. Nobody, and that was a bigger case than this.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.